Hey y'all, it's Annelies, and today was Apple Christmas, the one day that any tech nerd waits for, an Apple event where they announce not only new software, but new products. And today, 4 products were announced. So if you are curious about the September 12th, 2018 Apple announcement and want to learn a little bit more, go ahead and keep on watching this video because it's probably going to be perfect for you. So like I said, 4 products were announced today. We've got Apple Watch Series 4, iPhone XS, iPhone XS Max, and iPhone XR. Now you're probably wondering, what is the deal with all these different products, all these different product names? And what I'm going to do in this video is try to break that down as quickly as I can, while still giving you kind of the SparkNotes version of the 2-hour-long keynote. If you want to watch that full keynote, it's on Apple's website, so you can go to apple.com and check out that full keynote where they talk about a lot more techie things like augmented reality and the pixels per image of the thingamajig and all the dirty little details and techie little things that you may be interested, but I'm just not going to cover in this video because this video would be 2 hours long, like the Apple announcement. You may as well go hear it from the professionals. But in this one, I'm just going to try to break down each product and kind of give you the highlights and what I'm excited for. So in the description of this video, I'm going to leave timestamps for each section that I talk about, and I'm going to talk about it in the order that Apple talked about it in the keynote and try to give you the quickest breakdown that I can. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. So the first product that was announced was the Apple Watch Series 4. Now this bad boy has finally been redesigned completely. The physical Apple Watch has not been updated since the Apple Watch came out. My Series 3 Apple Watch looks practically identical to my first generation Apple Watch. So this physical overhaul was madly overdue. One thing that I want to say at the top of this section is that the Apple Watch bands, so all these guys that you paid a lot of precious money for, will still fit on the new Apple Watch. So you don't have to worry about buying a whole bunch of new bands with this new series. Now one of the big things is a 30% screen size increase, so you now have a 40mm Apple Watch and a 44. Previously it was a 38 and a 42, so it's about 2mm of difference, but the casing, according to Apple, has not changed in any physical size. The digital crown is now getting what's called haptic feedback, so when you're scrolling through things like podcasts or pictures or music or whatever it may be, you're going to get sort of like a ticking vibration, like when you scroll on your radio and you feel like a click every time you turn to a different section of the dial. You're going to be getting that feature on your digital crown to make things just a little bit more precise. There's now a new electrical heart rate sensor, which is going to give you the ability to do an electrocardiogram. Now the ECG app is coming later this year. Now the back of the watch has also gotten a complete overhaul. Right where the heart rate sensor is, now there's a couple of more bits and pieces. So the back of the Apple Watch is comprised of 2 parts, an optical heart sensor right in the middle of the Apple Watch back, as well as an electrical heart sensor, which is composed of the digital crown electrode and the back crystal electrode. What this is going to help you do is take an electrocardiogram using the ECG app, as well as detect when your heart rate is getting either too high or too low. There are also some new additions coming to the Apple Watch when it comes to the workouts app, so now you can track workouts such as yoga and hiking, as well as when you're doing a run, you can get pace and cadence alerts. So if you're trying to train for a marathon, your Apple Watch is the coach that is right on your wrist. The Apple Watch Series 4 is featuring the S4 chip, which is about 2 times faster than the previous model, as well as a 50% louder speaker. I'm really looking forward to this 50% louder speaker just because of the fact that in both of my generations of Apple Watch that I've owned, talking on my speakerphone has been kind of difficult, and I've always been doing something like putting my watch next to my ear just to hear the other person, as well as being able to hear Siri feedback a lot clearer. So the louder speaker is definitely appreciated, and it's going to make the Spy Kids effect of talking on your wrist a little bit more cool looking than like having your wrist by your phone and just kind of looking a little bit more like a dork. And then finally, the mic has been moved to the other side of the watch, farthest away from the speaker as possible, to reduce echo when you're in phone calls. So if you've ever had that issue with your current Apple Watch, say goodbye to that with Series 4. Apple Watch Series 4 can be pre-ordered on September 14th and will be available on September 21st, and the prices start at $399. Okay folks, moving on to the exciting part that everybody was probably waiting for, is the iPhone XS and the iPhone XS Max announcement. So both of these guys will be able to be pre-ordered on September 14th, and they will be available on September 21st. The iPhone XS is featuring a 5.8-inch display, and the iPhone XS Max is a 6.5. Apple says that the glass on the iPhone XS is XS family is the most durable glass in a smartphone to date. The band around the iPhone is still featuring the surgical grade stainless steel that the iPhone X had. The iPhone XS family is what I'm gonna call it because it's a lot easier to say than the iPhone XS's or XS and XS Max. It's a tongue twister, I can tell you that for sure. But the iPhone XS family features the A12 Bionic chip, which just pretty much helps your phone do a lot of amazing things. A few of those being faster Face ID recognition, 50% faster graphics performance, and a 50% lower power usage. Another super cool thing that the A12 Bionic chip is helping out with is depth control. Now, if you're familiar with an iPhone 7 Plus, 8 Plus, 10, now these new phones, it comes with something called portrait mode, and it's a computer-generated bokeh effect. So you're not actually having the lens open and shut to a certain point, but it's kind of like a computer-generated bokeh, which means it's blurry in the background, but your subject is in focus. It looks really cool. You can make some really pretty pictures. And one super, super cool thing with the iPhone XS and XS Max is you can control what your aperture is on the picture after you've taken it. So let's say you take a picture that has really high blurry bokeh effect in the background. You can take a slider and kind of slide it back and forth between the aperture settings to make it either more bokeh or less bokeh, aka more blurry or less blurry, which is a super cool add-on. There's some pictures that I've taken myself on my iPhone 7 Plus that I've tried on portrait mode that just didn't exactly look great on portrait mode and that I wish were also in a regular picture, like without the portrait mode, but you can't take the portrait mode off it until now. Now, if you have a picture that you think maybe looks better with less bokeh or none at all, you have the ability to go in, edit that picture, and take it all away, which I think is just a spectacular idea that I think was well needed, so thank you, Apple. Another cool thing with the iPhone XS family is there's a new sensor for greater color accuracy, as well as reduced noise in low light shots. And then another thing I'm so excited about when it comes to these cameras that I've just been wanting for so long. 1080p at 60 frames per second on the front-facing camera for video. I'm so happy. This is the same video quality that you can get on the back camera, but now on the front camera. And as somebody who uses my iPhone to primarily do any sort of vlogging that I do, I think this was a long time coming. Apparently the iPhone X had 1080p, but it was only at 30 frames per second. Now you can get it at 60 frames per second or 30 frames per second. On the back camera, you've got 4K at 60 frames per second. We've just got some beautiful full HD and 4K stunning video footage that you can get on either of these phones, as well with better low light adaptation. Apple, take my money. This is all I've been wanting. This is all I've been wanting. I've vlogged so much on this thing, and it's like, I'd rather spend money on a new phone than buy a vlogging camera at this point. So that's just one thing that I was very excited about, to say the least. And then another really exciting thing is that this phone is IP68 rated water resistance, I think is what they technically said. But what IP68 means and how Apple tested it is that this phone is water resistant up to 2 meters and up to 30 minutes. So if you drop your phone at the end of the pool, you don't have like 5 seconds to get it. You kind of can leisurely just dive in and grab your phone and wipe it off and take your phone calls and just be chill about it. There's no like, oh no, my phone is in the water. They've actually tested it with a couple of different liquids such as tea, orange juice, chlorine water, seawater, regular plain old water, beer. So yeah, so for those of you who like to party and have accidentally dropped your phone while Snapchatting a great game of beer pong, your phone will be saved with the iPhone XS family of phones. The iPhone XS is going to come in 3 colors, so you'll still get the silver with the white background, black with a black back, and then now you'll have gold with a nice pretty gold back. The iPhone XS and XS Max also come in 3 storage capacities. I'm debating, but the iPhone XS Max is really calling my name as of right now, but that price point is definitely not. Alright, now moving on to the one more thing, as Apple always likes to deem it, the iPhone XR, or as some people have already been comparing it to, the iPhone XC, or at least that's how it kind of comes off. Now this kind of clicked in my head right before I started filming this video, that I feel like what Apple did with the iPhone XR is they pulled an iPhone 5C scenario. So if you aren't familiar with the iPhone 5C, pretty much what happened is in 2015, the iPhone 5S and 5C came out. It was the successor to the iPhone 5. Now, the iPhone 5C had no changes from the iPhone 5. It was pretty much an iPhone 5 in a new packaging, but it was plastic and really colorful and just kind of cheap looking. And then the iPhone 5S was the new phone that had all the new gizmos and gadgets. It was the introduction of Touch ID and all that fun stuff. What it really seems like to me with the iPhone XR is it's a kind of similar idea and kind of doing away with the previous like 8, 7, 6 model of phone. Let me explain. So let's just get to the little basics real quick. This phone will be able to be pre-ordered on September 19th and will be available on September 25th. It is featuring a 6.1-inch display, so it's actually bigger than the iPhone XS, as well as the iPhone X, as well as the iPhone 8 and like 7, 6 and all them. This is a liquid retina display, as Apple calls it, also known as an LCD display, compared to the OLED display that is on the iPhone XS family phones, as well as on the iPhone X. Now, the biggest difference between the LCD and the OLED is that an LCD is completely backlit and the pixels, the individual pixels on an OLED, are backlit on their own, if I'm understanding that correctly. Now, this is the largest LCD on any iPhone, but the iPhone 8, iPhone 7, iPhone 8 Plus, iPhone 6, all those phones previous to the iPhone X have been LCDs. So you've seen this screen before. It's nothing different, it's nothing worse. It's just what the previous standard was compared to the big ol' fancy iPhone X. It still has True Tone display, it has tap to wake, and like I mentioned, it is bigger than the iPhone XS and the iPhone X. So it's kind of this in-between in sizes. You've got the XS, the XR, the XS Max. So if you like a bigger screen, but you don't like that big of a screen to go with the Max, the XR might be a perfect fit for you. Now, when it comes to the 5C scenario that I'm likening this to, I went on the website just to do some more information, research, and all that fun stuff, and I like to always go to the previous model to compare sizes, and on Apple's website, they list all that stuff. But when I looked for the iPhone X page on the Apple website, it is nowhere to be found. So I think right now the iPhone X is at end of life, which means that they're not making more of them, they're just selling what they have and then retiring the device. So I don't know if it's going to be available in Apple stores, but it's definitely no longer available online. Now, what's different to me with the iPhone XR scenario versus the iPhone 5C is that the iPhone 5C had no updates. I think maybe the chip got updated, but it was an S generation, so it's not like even had a big overhaul. With the iPhone XR, you're getting the same A12 Bionic chip that the iPhone XS has. So you're actually getting a lot of similar features to the XS family of phones. So you've got the A12, you've got depth control, you've got 4K at 60 frames per second video on the back camera, 1080p at 60 frames per second on the front camera. The same water resistance as the 10 though, so it's a 1 meter at 30 minutes. There's no 3D touch on this device, but a big thing is that you've got a single lens, but you've still got the bokeh effect with portrait mode, which when it was introduced with the iPhone 7 Plus. The big claim that Apple made with the iPhone 7 Plus when portrait mode was introduced is that there's 2 cameras on here and that's how it's possible. And then now the XS and the XS Max have the 2 cameras that can do portrait mode, but now this new XR can also do portrait mode but with only 1 lens. What's the science behind that? I call it magic. Who knows what it truly is, but it can still do portrait mode as well as portrait mode on the front facing camera. You still get Face ID, you get no home button just the same way that the XS has it. So it's kind of like if they took the iPhone X, but then like your big physical differences is that it's made of aluminum, so the same way that the iPhone 8 is, the iPhone 7, all those model of phones, kind of like the original flagships. And then they also come in 6 stunning colors. You've got black, white, product red, and then you've got 3 new colors, blue, yellow, and my personal favorite, coral, which actually looks like the Apple shirt I'm wearing right now. That orangey coral color is literally what's pulling me in the direction of XR right now, as well as the absolutely stunning price point. So the iPhone XR comes at 64 gigabytes for $749, 128 for $799, and 256 for $899. So this is going to be priced more similar to what an iPhone 8S or an iPhone 9 or whatever would have succeeded the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, is what seems to be what the iPhone XR is. You've got the aluminum, you've got the lower price, you've got the same storage capacity styles, but then you've got a lot of updates. So when it comes to if you're looking to get a new phone this season, this year, with this release of the new iPhones, the 3 options, if you're somebody who last year opted for the 8 or the 8 Plus over the 10, the 10R might be the perfect option for you because it's going to still be really similar to that, but then you get the new features of Face ID, higher video quality, higher processor quality, no home button, all the swipe motions, so it's like an iPhone 8, but like a next generation, with all the bells and whistles of a 10, and then like missing a few things, like not the same water resistance, and I mean that's pretty much it, which I think is actually really spectacular because it gives consumers who wanted that awesome iPhone 10 experience but did not have the iPhone 10 budget a la moi. For 64 gigabytes for this phone, you're paying $749, which is, it's a game changer. I think the 10R honestly is looking like one of my favorite phones from this release. Alright guys, well with that being said, that's all my notes that I have on this announcement from today. If I had to give my final thoughts, I would say the things that look most exciting to me is honestly everything. I love everything that was announced, and I've heard a couple of people say online that this was kind of a dud of an announcement, but I don't see how you can think that. We've got one, Apple pretty much saying, hey, we're retiring the home button, so that's kind of like a big landmark statement. All of their phones, any of their, whatever one you want to call their flagship phone, doesn't have a home button. It's going strictly off Face ID, so say goodbye to Touch ID, even though I love Touch ID. You've got the phones, which are just completely changing. The physical body of these phones has changed. Last year, obviously, the 10 seemed kind of like this special phone. It came out like months later. It didn't seem like the flagship phone. It seemed like a special edition phone. Who knew if that was going to show up later? Obviously, everybody loved the 10, and so Apple said, you know what? People are liking this. Let's roll with it. Let's make it even awesomer. More awesome. And they did. They made a consumer-friendly iPhone 10 called the 10R, which I feel like if nobody's already made this comment, it seems like it's the iPhone 10 regular, and then the iPhone 10s is like the iPhone 10 special, and then special to the max. So I think you've got a lot of like options. I think it just makes me really happy because I know there's a lot of people who would have liked to have the iPhone 10 but just couldn't afford that. But you're still getting this really cool phone and these awesome features and just an updated processor. You're getting an iPhone 10 just for cheaper. I can't get over that. That's amazing to me. I think that's spectacular. As well as just an orange phone. Like, I want it so bad. And it has 1080p recording for the front camera, which is exactly what I want. It's a little bit like similar to the size of the phone that I have. Now I'm just talking about my own personal wish list, but I mean, at first the iPhone XS Max was like calling my name, but I think for me, when it comes to choosing an iPhone that I'm going to upgrade to next after this guy, because I'm ready, I've had this guy for 2 years, this is the 7 Plus. I think I'm gonna need to see them in person and see how they feel in my hands. The idea of an orange phone just makes my heart happy, but I think there's a lot of awesome choices out there for any type of consumer. And then of course the Apple Watch Series 4, I'm super excited. There's an overhaul. I'm really happy about like the health features and the ECG and the fall detection, and I am looking forward to hopefully gifting that to my mom sometime in the near future because I know it's something that she's really excited for. So guys, I hope this video was helpful for you, educational, entertaining, or all the above, and I hope you learned something from this and maybe understand a little bit better about all the new product launches and what is coming very soon to an Apple store near you. Thank you so very much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I want to know in the comment section down below, what is the thing you are most excited about from this Apple announcement? Like, what are you looking forward to? An orange iPhone like I am? Ah! And the yellow looks so pretty and the blue. And the thing is it doesn't look cheap. Like the 5Cs just looked like it was an iPhone 5 wrapped in like a jelly bean plastic egg or some crap. And these actually look high quality, good quality, beautiful colors. It's called coral, but I don't care. It's orange to me. I love Apple Christmas. If you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. I make videos like this about tech, I make vlogs, I make everything else in between. So subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this one. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Otherwise, guys, I think that is it for me. Stay beautiful, have a marvelous day, and I will see you guys next time. Bye! Hi there. This is the point of the video where I like to thank my Patreon supporters. All these wonderful, beautiful people are at the Ethel tier or above when it comes to supporting me on my Patreon, and that means they pledge at least $10 a month. All these wonderful, beautiful people are so giving, and I just wanted to say thank you so very much. Now, if you want to be a supporter of Guess Who, me on Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/Annelies and pledge your support to me in all of my endeavors, whether it be on YouTube or on my podcast or all things that are kooky and crazy and Annelies. Be sure to remember this kooky, quirky gal when you're supporting me on Patreon, and I really wish there was something else I could offer you, but this is what I'm working with.